This pop-up is of a country cottage. It's a really lovely, simple, straightforward, spectacular pop-up. So what I've done is cut out all the elements, folded everything up, and I've got the main cover here, and we open up and we've got our insides, and there's some very, very faint guidelines there for you, which you should be able to see, and that will make up the positioning for the actual cottage. Don't worry if you miss the lines, and one or two of them I find I don't quite line up. It'll still work, but they're there just as a guideline, and to be honest, they won't show up once you've made it. Our first element is this lovely cottage, and again I've just scored the lines. You'll see the fold lines in there for you, and then I've got my two tabs there, and again this is at a slight angle, so when it opens up it actually leans back ever so slightly. That means because we're using thin card, we haven't got the luxury of really thick card on pop-ups, that it actually pulls everything up, because this back piece is going to pull up all the front ones, and I find if we make it lean backwards a little bit, that gives it the strength to go ahead and pull everything up, and that more or less puts it in the right position for us. So again, what we're going to do is place this one down on the back here, and we can see the guideline there. Our first tab we can see is actually the middle one here, and you'll notice then that it fits there. Line that up. Better to go over slightly if you don't want it to show. Pop that down, and I'm just going to fold this in so to make sure that we don't hit the crease line there, because the next one is going to come over like so, and then that folds back on itself like that, and we now know that we're not hitting that crease line there. Because this is all in position, we should now be able to just put that down, and a little bit of rub. I'd recommend a clean piece of paper, and you can put that on there, and then as we open up comes our cottage, and let me show you that to the camera like so. That really is lovely. It's so 3D. I absolutely love this card. Okay, so that's our first element in. So what we're going to do is build forward with the next set of elements. And you'll notice that there's a range of these. Let me pop this to one side. Again, we've got our first one here with our tab there, and then these are just going to pull up away from there with our little tabs like so. So the trick here now is lining everything up. So that lines up there, that's 10 millimeters away from there. There's a little faint guideline for you. It's not always that easy to see. That comes forward, and if I put that onto there like so, and that like there, now when we fold that up, that will all come into position like so, and you can see now that that pulls up and rises that part there. So we give that plenty of rub. If you're unsure, just do a gentle tentative lift, and we can see now that that line just pulls up there, and again that just adds to our lovely sort of cottage effect. Okay, so the next part to do is the gate in front, which we've got here. Again, I've pre-cut this. I've got 2 feet on here, and that's going to go onto our guideline at the front there, and then we'll fold that down and pull this one over like so. I've got my line here, so what I can do is just line up with that very faint white line there, pop that down on there, make sure that's just touching in the right place. Let that one come to its own angle, it's slightly different from that one. Then lift up, and that's got to close on. Now the trouble with this is we're going to pull it over like so. Let me just show you, a common mistake here is we go to do it here, but because we've got the ones in the front, that will stick there. So lift that up, let it find its own position, just slotting behind the house like so, and help it on its way. Down it will go. Plenty of rub. There's a little bit of sticky on the back there, and boom, up it comes. Beautiful. Now remember, you've got to put that to that side, and can I just say about that stuck slightly, I've got a little bit of glue. If I just pull that forward, let me show you my messy workmanship there. A little bit of glue stuck there, which is causing it to stick, so do be a little bit careful. I'm rushing this slightly. Okay, so I can go down, rub that, some of the other little elements are coming away. And can you see how that's just sticking, and that will pull things? We really don't want that to happen. But we've got our fence there, and that looks lovely. We've got that leading up to our cottage here. So our next element is for a big surprise, is to put the trees behind here. So again, I'm simply going to glue these tabs, and then that's going to sit at the back like so, just nestling behind. And I'm going to just fold this back and just gently rest that so it lines up nicely with it there and doesn't cross centerfold. A little bit tricky, but I like to do this batch when I like to get the cottage in first. And again, we can now close this up, just help that on its way, and that should then stick to the top part there like so. And now as we open up, we've got our big tree sticking out in the background as well. So we're getting a really lovely effect there. Close the card up now, because we can't always guarantee where that's going to go. That's just, in this instance, just sticking slightly out there. So I'm going to mark that with a pencil and just chop that away with my scissors, just to round that in. It might fit perfectly for you, it just depends. Sometimes there's a little bit of movement and it doesn't quite go down where we want it to, and it can be a little bit bigger. But if you just mark that, you can chop anything off if it's just sticking out from the edge for you. So that's the basis for our cottage, as we can see here. Now if you want to, there's extra elements, and we've got the little trees here which I've cut, and we can just measure up and just pull those off if we want to with our tabs that you've got here. They're just for embellishments. Now it could come forward if you want to as well, but make sure it's going to fit within the card. So what we can do, I've moved that 10mm away from there, 10mm tab, glue that on, fold it down backwards like this, so you can see there, and then as we close up, that will hold on to the fence, and as I open up will come my tree. And here is our country cottage pop-up, and I think you'll agree that really is quite a spectacular card. Now you can go on and adapt this. There's various elements. You can miss the big tree out if you want to. You don't have to put the bushes in, but I think you'll agree that makes for a really splendid pop-up card. Nice and simple to make, and I think you'll have fun making this one, and I think the people receiving it will absolutely love it as well.